the IG family. Sorry, y'all. I definitely forgot to give y'all a description. So my bad, but hey everybody, it's been so long since I have been on Astrotalk. So welcome back to Astrotalk. This is us starting back up for 2024. So y'all know, like always, let me get my water so I can take my drink. Whew, I needed that one. In the background, y'all may hear, hey Bree. In the background, y'all may hear I have the Hertz going, hey, and it's 6:39, and it has the Tibet monk prayer, just and again it's 639 Hertz. It's associated with the heart chakra. So that is what I currently have going. Like I said, it's been 4 months since I gave an Astro Talk. So welcome back. I just needed a break, y'all. Like life was life, and right after that Libra eclipse, when I gave that 10-10 combo where I just went live on IG. My little baby nephew was born and life started lifing. But neither here nor there. Everything is settled in my world. Family is doing great. Life is doing great. So we are back and we're going to start our Astro Chat. So what we're talking about for this week is yesterday, the Sun and Pluto within hours of each other moved into Aquarius energy. So what we're going to do is learn about Aquarian energy, what it does. And again, hey to everybody that's on the other platform. So if y'all see me, I'm waving at y'all on Facebook for the Apothecary, my personal Facebook, also on YouTube and on Twitter or X. Hey, everybody. But we're about to learn about Aquarius season. So again, sorry to everybody on IG that it didn't have any description. I just went live because I was just happy to be back. All right, y'all. So as y'all know, as of yesterday at 7:32 a.m., the sun moved into Aquarius, right? So that happens every year, but what makes this particular moment so special is that the sun and Pluto is the furthest planet or the furthest celestial body that's caught in our gravitational pull of our solar system, way out back up in there, right? Like really far away, really far away. Pluto is technically a part of our solar system, but it's very rare that the sun and Pluto align. So they were aligned from the 29th degree of Capricorn, and they moved into the first degree or 0 degrees of Aquarius together. Okay, but we're going to learn overall about Aquarius energy and overall about how to work with it. So again, Aquarius season happens every year from January 20th, which was yesterday, until February the 18th. Ooh, I'm gonna take some more water because I am still thirsty as heck because I haven't done this in a while, like talk and project this much, and I haven't done this in a while. So welcome back, everybody, while y'all coming in. I be having to take my water breaks because this do be a lot of information. My name is Jasmine. This is Flourish, Homestead, and Apothecary. So we are a self-healing collective that's rooted in a bunch of things. We'll probably talk about that in another video, right? But right now we are talking about the sun and Pluto moving into Aquarius yesterday, right? So what is Aquarius energy? So the symbol is the Waterbearer. We're going to learn more about that in a second. And it's fixed air, positive, or masculine energy. It's ruled by Uranus currently and Saturn anciently, right? It governs over the 11th house. We'll talk also about that later. And it governs humanity, philanthropy, innovation, technology, rebellion, your uniqueness and uniqueness in general. It represents complete liberation, kind of like Sagittarius energy, but at a soul or a spirit level, right? And so it rules over equality, inequity, originality. And we're going to talk more about what Uranus is because it'll help you understand the energy of Aquarius better. right? So Uranus is the planet that's known as moving the whole entire world, you, your community, everybody you know, into the future, because we are all governed by universal laws, right? So Uranus in our solar system is the planet or the archetypical energy that is supposed to represent moving us into the future, right? And it really doesn't have any limits like Jupiter or any of the outer planets for that matter. That's why they're on the outer planets, right? So it has no regard for like your fears. It has no regard for your concerns, your desires, your limitations, your boundaries, or like anything for that matter. Its only concern is getting us into the future, moving the universe and everything within the universe to where we have to go. So, some of the key words that represent Aquarian energy, and I'm going to move us a little down on Instagram because I feel like y'all kind of looking up my nose, and like, I love y'all, but I don't want y'all up my nose. So, I just had to move y'all just a wee bit. Anyways, the key words for Aquarian energy is idealism, community, liberty, equality, and science, right? The functional expressions. So, functional expressions are the expressions of Aquarian energy when it's balanced. Is socially aware, humanitarianism, egalitarianism, civilized. That we have to talk about the semantics of what being civilized means. I've been civilized means realizing that you live in and amongst a community, right? Impartial. So impartiality really just means fair at the end of the day, willing to hear anyone out before making a decision. Outgoing, unconventional. Some of the dysfunctional expressions, and what we mean by dysfunctional expressions is unbalanced Aquarian energy. It can mean cold, critical, aloof, overly rational, erratic, blindsided by science, like really can't see anything else past science and reason. So there's no space for emotions or for spirituality. So things that exist within gray spaces or might not always be logical and rational, right? The symbol is Waterbearer. So if you look at the constellation that is the Aquarian constellation, and we're going to talk more about that too, right? It looks like there's a man pouring water. And so the symbol that we have when many of our ancient astrologists and astronomers were studying the stars, right, is they came up with the symbol, the water bearer, to represent Aquarian energy. And it really is a symbol of a man pouring or carrying a water pot, right? And so, what does this mean symbolically? Because we know that everything means something, right? And so, this is the creator of water. So, like we learned last year when we talked about Aquarian energy is the creator of water. And this is why it's associated with neutrality, right? Because water is life, water is emotion, right? So water is the crux of who we are and what is life. But Aquarian energy has to remain neutral. Hey, Quan, we're talking about Aquarian energy, the sun and Pluto in Aquarian, and they moved in there yesterday. So we're just learning more about the water bearer, which is the symbol for Aquarius energy right now. Okay. And so again, it's the water bearer. So it's the creation of soul or spirit, energy, essence. And that's why it remains neutral. And the reason being it remains neutral is it exists beyond embodiment. So emotions are connected to our nervous system, right? And they're supposed to be temporary signifiers for who we are. When we talk about neutrality, we're often talking about from a emotional place, right? And so to generate life, one must remain neutral or consistently in balance with oneself to understand where one is, right? And this is because they understand that at our soul's core, we don't have needs at our soul's core because we exist past embodiment, right? Like energy cannot be created nor destroyed, it can only be transformed. So we ourselves, the very essence of who we are, our souls or spirits, cannot be destroyed. Nothing can happen to it. And so Aquarian energy kind of reminds us about this in that neutrality. And that's why it's represented by the water bearer, because it's the neutrality that gives us life, because it represents the divinity of always remembering there's something past this embodiment. There's something past the five senses. There's something past what we know life to be, because we never die. And so Aquarian energy is that representation of all of that. And I got some other quotes that other people said that I feel like will help us understand what Aquarian energy is, right? But if we want to move on to the people who are more of a psychological or a scientific or mentally minded areas, some of the characteristics that represent Aquarian energy is it is masculine or positive, so action oriented energy. It needs to do, go, explore, 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 explore. That's Aquarian energy. It is humane, but at a collective level. So it is inclusive of everyone. It makes space for everybody. Scientific and eloquent and intuitive. Again, it is the water bearer. It gives and breathes the life, the emanation, the soul spark into all of us, right? And so in order to do that, it must be eloquent. It must be intuitive. It must have the ability to be able to feel things and do things, but instead of manifesting those feelings in those doings or those ways of knowing, it turns it into innovation, or it turns it into science, or it turns it into how do we get to the future to make things more equitable, right? Some of the balance qualities of uh, Aquarian energy is leadership skills, not leadership itself. There's something bigger than our understanding, human. Yes, absolutely. And that's what Aquarian energy is here to remind us at all times, that there's something bigger than us at all times. And that we have to be aware of who we are in order to understand that there's something bigger than us, right? And so, as we were talking about, some of the balance qualities are leadership skills, not leadership. Leadership is governed, that energy is governed by Leo, the polar opposite of Aquarius. And we'll learn about that around the Leo new, full moon that's coming up real soon, y'all, real soon. But we're going to get through Aquarian energy first, right? But it represents leadership skills. So the technical portion, the scientific portions of how to be a good leader, that is what Aquarian energy governs. Aquarian energy governs truthfulness, right, in our dimension or in our realm. It governs scientific inabilities, abilities, anything that is scientific in nature generally is governed by Aquarian energy. Also being sincere, being earnest, being humane, being cooperative, being unbiased, being inventive, being philosophical, being intuitive, being pleasant, being considerate, and being progressive, right? And the unbalanced qualities of Aquarian energy, right? So kind of really being stuck in the lower three chakras. So being stuck in survival mode. Aquarian energy can represent being gullible, being an extremist, being polarized, right? Not being balanced, but being polarized, right? Being inconsistent, being detached, right? Not being emotionally available, or like being present, being grounded, of sound body and sound mind, because somebody tells that you way off somewhere in the future, right? That's an unbalanced quality of Aquarian energy. Being cold, being stubborn, being unpredictable, and being aloof. Let's see what Shaka Kwan said. Science, she's social science and serving leadership. This has helped me a lot. Absolutely. And those represent very much so parts about, I think, Quan, me personally knowing you about your career and different things like that, and where you take interest in, and even how you, to me, use social media. Like the way you use social media is very Aquarian of you, like for real, and I love that. But the deepest needs of Aquarian energy. So everything has an opposite, which is to balance it out. So the deepest needs of Aquarian energy is to know or to bring something into the new. This is the sole need of Aquarian energy, the emanation of why it exists, is to bring something new into this world, to experiment and to innovate, to tinker, to fail, to experiment. That is what it is, to innovate and deal with any of the consequences of innovation, right? The qualities that any person or Aquarian energy needs in general to balance it out is warmth, feeling, and emotions, which is encapsulated by its polar opposite, right? Which is Leo energy, right? The talisman. So the talisman is physical emanations of things that when they vibrate at naturally Aquarian energy. So the talisman of Aquarian energy is a lead key. I know this is very specific, but that is why it is considered a talisman or something that represents Aquarian energy. So if you ever ran across a lead key, then that would be something that represents Aquarian energy, but also something that we see commonly in nature, an owl. So if you've always been connected to an owl, or you're one of the rare people who have actually seen an owl in nature and really wasn't looking for one because you're taking a night hawk, like a night walk randomly or whatever, a night hawk, like that's beautiful, like, because that energy is actually represented by Aquarian energy. So even more positive qualities of Aquarian energy, and I'm giving you a lot of mental and emotional and philosophical and sociological examples of Aquarian energy, because in the apothecary, when I'm transitioning to, is helping us do textured learning, right? Like all of us have different learning styles. Like there's really like between 12 and 17 primary different learning styles that exist in the world. And here with me, I easily fall within 7 to 8 of them. So that's how I plan the things, is to give people a lot of options to activate whatever types of resonance that people may have. So that's why I'm giving a lot of examples of what Aquarian energy is, rather than beating down examples or saying this or saying that. And we'll talk more about how to work with the energy, or maybe some of the things that you should feel during Aquarius season in general. But I wanted to spend a lot of time giving us examples of where Aquarian energy shows up in our everyday lives, because I think a lot of us don't really realize that everything in this world is represented by Aquarian energy. So I have spearmint oil right here. Like spearmint oil is governed by something in the astrological chart. So getting us familiar that it really does encapsulate and take up space in our everyday lives is what I'm trying to get us to understand. Okay. So some of the positive qualities is just truthfulness, curiousness, being affectionate, being frank, having a frank personality, but also being very imaginative. Negative qualities are being, again, unpredictable, detached, a tendency to get off track, and being inefficient. Okay, the compatible signs with Aquarius energy are Gemini and Libra. So it's fellow air sign. So again, we know that Aquarian energy is an air sign. So the compatible signs that we have are Libra and Gemini energy. So I feel like Libra and Gemini energy and is kind of interesting, and also in regards to Aquarian energy, because I feel like Aquarian energy definitely calls out being the oldest and the most mature of the air signs, calls out Libra and Gemini energy in different ways. So I think it's always unique. I am a sun in Gemini. Just talking to people who are Aquarian in nature, right? Because they're often surprised that I'm a Gemini because I have a Capricorn moon and a Scorpio rising. So there's other things that like color my personality, but in nature, they're like, I wouldn't have picked you up for a Gemini, because usually I find a lot of Aquarian people to kind of be annoyed by sometimes Gemini or Libras or other air signs, because they tend to call them out a lot because they're the most mature of the air signs, being the older ones in the zodiac. So I thought I also might throw that out there also. So the days that if you were going to work with Aquarian energy, the day to do it is Saturday. So I thought that was also unique, that the Sun and Pluto moved into Aquarius on the day of its rulership. And so we would use or work with Aquarian energy on Saturdays because of its ancient ruler, Saturn. Right? So I thought I would throw that out there, that the day of the week that's associated with Aquarian energy is Saturday. Okay, so we're about to talk about some kind of technical sciencey parts of astrology, so please work with me to the best of your abilities here. So Aquarian energy is in detriment. Detriment means that the sun is fighting for its life. in Aquarius energy. So because the sun rules Leo, is complete opposite. The sun is fighting for its life every time it enters the Aquarian zodiac, right? Aquarian energy is exalted. So that means that this planet is really, really happy when it's in Aquarian energy. It's Neptune, right? The planet that's at fall, or the planet that's almost fighting for its life, but not quite, is getting a couple hits off on Aquarius energy, is Pluto, which is the other planet that moved into Aquarius with the sun yesterday, right? And so Aquarius energy, again, is ruled by Uranus. Uranus is known as the planet, we talked about it a little previously, that is in charge of getting us to the future. That's the ultimate goal of Uranus. So it causes upheavals in all of our lives. This planet is known to cause sudden changes and certain tensions in our lives. And it encourages us to fight injustices, not only for other people, but the injustices that we are experiencing in our lives. So often Uranus energy is that instantaneous activation energy that comes out of nowhere in our lives. It's often activated by whatever your Uranian energy is. And everyone has Uranian energy because all of us are alive and all of us have a chart, right? And in our chart, all of us have somewhere where Uranus was when we were born, right? And so I wanted to throw that out there because it's all important for us to know about all of this, because it really makes up our aura, or our native energy. And since we are matter and we take up mass and space and energy, and we produce energy, right? That means we have a vibration or frequency, or we have an aura. And our natal chart is kind of like our cheat code to understanding our energy or our aura, right? And so that's why it's important to study the planet that's associated with Aquarian energy, because all of us have a Uranus placement, right? And okay, so Uranus also takes in like all the facts of Gemini. It takes in all the wisdom Sagittarius, and then it digests it, it metabolizes it, and it makes it into new knowledge or innovation. And so it's really the collection of the lived experience, the lessons that we have, the technology, the innovation that we do, and what facts and what absolute truth are, right? And it eats it down and it creates something new, right? So that is what Uranus energy really, really governs. And again, your Uranus or Aquarian energy rules over the 11th house of the zodiac. So the zodiac is split into 12, or the zodiac wheel is split into 12 zodiac houses and then 12 zodiac signs. The zodiac sign Aquarius rules the 11th house. And this is the house of friendship, the house of hopes and dreams, the house of networking, the house of social clubs and organizations. But it also impacts your social interactions over your life, right? So the 11th house also governs social rules and also social norms and social behaviors, and it also governs social dynamics. We all have an 11th house in our natal chart, and all of us have, even if there are no planets or celestial bodies in it, we all have energy that govern that portion of our lives. Like, we all got friends, we all got hopes and dreams, and we all got that. So those are governed by the 11th house in your chart. And you can look up your chart for free anywhere, right? All you have to do is know your birthday, your birth time, and your birth location, and then you can figure out your chart. It'll tell you a whole bunch of things you can know about yourself. In the upcoming video, I'll probably tell you more about how to book a reading with me. That's a little bit more of a complicated process, but neither here nor there. Wanted to also talk about, hold on, I'm gonna turn the page. because I forgot that I was on that page. But also the 11th house, just to give you more context about what the 11th house is, on top of like ruling our hopes and our dreams, because it holds that space between the 12th house, which is the house of divine or the house of God, and the 10th house, which is the house of like accomplishment, and it's the house of achievement, and it's also the highest point of our chart. It represents the hopes and the dreams that we are capable of calling down in this lifetime, right? And so it's not everything that you can accomplish, that's the 10th house, but it's everything that you potentially could accomplish in this lifetime, right? And so to me, Aquarian energy is best represented by Buddhism. That's why I have the chant going in the background, because it's Tibetan Buddhism. And the frequency that we're also listening to is 639 hertz, which is a heart chakra meditation. So both of these are very ancient healing, not aromatherapy, y'all, but sound therapy and healing frequencies. And like I said, to me, the neutrality that Buddhism represents really embodies Aquarian energy. So if you're looking to get into or understand a religion that I think really embodies Aquarian energy really well, it is Buddhism. And if you study hermetics, or you're a spiritualist, or you understand the other dimensions, right, then the energies or the universal laws, to me, that represent Aquarian energy really well, that you can study if you really want to know more about Aquarian energy, to me, are the law of frequency and the law of vibration. Okay, because both of those requires you to have a certain neutrality, right? Again, that reminds you we go past our needs. At our core, we don't have wants, we don't have desires, we just are. So Buddhism, the law of vibration and the law of frequency remind us that past our embodiment and all the things that come with the embodiment, which are hopes, dreams, desires, wants, feelings, emotions, all those other things, it's just simply us being who we are, our purest raw energy, right? Our souls or our spirits. So those are the things that I think are very much so represented by that. So as we know, the Aquarian constellation is actually a real place. It's a real place in the universe, and this real place is so large that its frequency and its vibration reaches us in the Milky Way, and where we are in our current solar system, right? So the constellation of Aquarius can be seen the best in spring in the southern hemisphere and fall in the northern hemisphere. We are in the southern hemisphere, y'all. And the best day to view it is really any day in October at 9 p.m. Okay. And to the west of Aquarius energy is Capricorn energy. Of course, we know because we just came out of Capricorn season. And then to the east or the rising is Pisces season, which we are going to. Like I said, it's an actual place, and it's the 10th largest constellation in our solar system out of the 88 that we currently observe here on Earth. There are more. That's a different story. And it is 520 light years away. So we talked about, I think last year, what a light year is. So a light year is take 520 and I think times it by 1,000. And so that's how many miles away, or I think it's 1,000,000. Times it by that many miles away is how far the Aquarian constellation is from where we are. And it's one of the earliest known constellations, I believe, that we discovered. It went back to the Potomac dynasty of Egypt is when they talked about the Aquarian constellation the earliest. So that might be some good knowledge to know. The things in general, feelings that people might feel because Pluto moved into Aquarius and so did the sun. It's just being very motivated by a hunger for knowledge right now. And so this goes beyond like fact gathering. This goes beyond like wisdom and spirituality, like we talked about with Sagittarius. You just might be feeling very inventive, very productive in a mental capacity sort of way. Like your mind really might be running at 1,000,000 miles a minute, and you really might be feeling very creative, right? So it's really important because this energy is often caused by This innovative energy is giving you the energy to be aware, to work on the things that are outdated in your life. So that's the reason why we observe Aquarius energy every year when the sun goes into Aquarius, right? It's that yearly reminder for you on the individual experience to remember what your unique individual truth is, what your ultimate truth and your ultimate frequency is, and to then work on getting the things that are outdated out of your life that are no longer representative of who you are or your absolute truth or your absolute divinity, right? And so you might find yourself really thinking outside of the box during this time period, not really caring about what the rules, the traditions, the structures are. Hold on, y'all, getting a text message. Sorry about that. Um, and that text message distracted me. Again, this is because Aquarian energy really is about innovation. And in order to really be in true creator space, you can't be worried about the rules. You can't be worried about tradition. You can't be worried about what other people think about. That's more so Capricorn and 10th house energy. So Aquarian energy, even though it's right beside a Capricorn energy, is quite literally the opposite. It's like, okay, we've already mastered rules and traditions and everything else, and we're talking about what are the things that no longer work for us at a societal level that we need to change, innovate, and work on. And so that is what Aquarian energy really reminds us of every year. And so Aquarian energy for me, I always say, is it's the yearly reminder to update the parts of yourself that are held back by tradition, by karma, by limitations, by rules, by structures, and by ways that you play it safe in society in order to fit in. So the best example of the story that really awakened me to Aquarian energy, my North Node is in Aquarius. Hey, whoever just clicked that, give in the hearts, love you back, is the prodigal daughter or the prodigal son. So the prodigal daughter, the prodigal son is actually an archetype, and it's represented all throughout many different types of mythologies and religions. And it's the person who is willing to go against the grain, the person who knows more, that there's more out there than what they've been exposed to, knows that their community or their society could really benefit from knowing and seeing that there is something else out there, and they're willing to be that person that's different, to be ostracized, to go against the grain, to leave home, to figure out what it means. And then they bring home truth, they bring home well-roundedness, they bring home innovation, and they bring home technology and ways of knowing to their community that makes their community better. That's one of the best stories I can think about that represents what Aquarian energy is, right? And so Aquarian energy, it really doesn't disregard what you've already learned or what you've already accomplished. So it doesn't throw the book out with Capricorn energy. What it does is it's really asking us to balance between the obligation, the responsibility that we learn during Capricorn season, or if you have a lot of Capricorn in your chart, versus the originality and being authentically you, even if that means being rebellious and going against the grain. Child, it's like you were taking right. Listen, and that's what it is. And so that's why people who have a lot of Aquarian energy, or people who are that prodigal daughter, prodigal son, prodigal child for their community, may feel that itch, or may not feel like they're necessarily at home in their community, because they might be like the Zora-Neale-Hurston's. They might be there to observe and capture the beauty of their community, or they might be designed to go out evolutionarily and learn things and bring things home to their community that strengthens their community, either scientifically or socially or humanely, right? And so that's why the prodigal child or the prodigal daughter or the prodigal son is like such an important analogy. And it really does represent Aquarian energy, right? And like I said, Aquarian energy is really about, once you've learned what your obligation and what your responsibilities are in this lifetime, it really reminds you like, hey, also be original, like still be yourself, like you still have an individualized purpose, and all of it is not about taking care of other things or other people, right? Okay, so a sun in Aquarius personality, because the sun is in Aquarius. So if you have a sun in Aquarius, this may be more so your personality, give or take, given the different aspects that you have. Or this might be what we bless me. Well, woo, oh my gosh. Well, we might be feeling more so while the sun is in Aquarius. So again, the sun is an air sign. So air signs are the thinkers of the zodiacs, right? And so they're more so of intellect than of action. And so this is very much so the same for Aquarius. So Aquarians are very much so thinkers. They have a commanding ability when we're talking about language and communication. Very witty, very intelligent, can be caring, creative, very independent, very humanitarian, and very loving, especially with their loved one and friends, but very much so drawn to social situations, but need their alone time. Like, I have my North Node in Aquarius in the 4th house. I like people, I love people, but I need my alone time, right? And so that's very much important to understand about people who have Aquarian personalities, right? So Aquarians are very broad, very open-minded, but when overwhelmed, overstimulated, and triggered, can actually be very inflexible, very insensitive, very defiant. Aquarian energy has a reputation for detachment and being aloof, especially emotionally, but not necessarily true, right? I think if you understand what we just talked about with Aquarian energy, then you understand that it's really all about neutrality and what the balance of being emotionally balanced brings, which Aquarian energy is. But also, Aquarian energy is known sometimes for being erratic and also spontaneous. In general, the general traits that I would say that you would know to represent Aquarius, again, is just open minded, being humanitarian, being creative, free spirited, intellectual, right? And some of the negative aspects of it are impulsive, unpredictable, inconsistent, extremist, and stubborn. Okay, and so what's going on this Aquarius season? It's kind of a lot, y'all. I only am highlighting like 4 or 5, but it's really an active season. So this Aquarius season, as we know, started yesterday at 9:07 a.m. and then Pluto entered Aquarius at 7:56 yesterday p.m. So we're also having Venus entering Capricorn on the 23rd at 3:50 a.m. Right, and then we're also having a full moon on the 25th in Leo at 12:54 a.m. While in Leo season or while in Aquarius season. My bad, y'all. Uranus is also going direct in Taurus on the 27th at 2:35 a.m. And Mercury is also entering Aquarius on February the 5th at 2:10 a.m. We're also having a new moon in Aquarius that will be getting ready to round out Aquarius season. That'll be happening on February 9th at 5:59 p.m. But also Mars and Venus are entering Aquarius on the February the 13th and February the 16th at 1:05 and 11:05 a.m. And we're also having a first quarter moon on the same day that Venus enters Aquarius at 10:01 a.m. And that'll be in Taurus, 27 degrees Taurus, right? So the current placements of everything to kind of give us a place on how we're going to get to all of these events happening over the course of Aquarius season is we're going to understand where the current astrology is, right. And so the sun right now is in Aquarius. Yesterday, because I didn't look up the degrees today, so y'all can look up the degrees, it was at 0 degrees and 27 minutes, and the sun was in the 6th house, right? The moon was in Gemini yesterday. You can still look it up and see where the moon is. And that was in the 10th house, right? Mercury is in Capricorn. That's in the 5th house. Venus is in Sagittarius in the 4th house. Juan said the full moon. Right. It's super about balance and it's super about joy. This Leo full moon is going to be about joy, right? Because that Cancer full moon and that Gemini full moon knocked us on our booties because a lot of us got a lot of very good breakthroughs, mental and emotional during those last full moons, right? Mars is in Capricorn in the 5th house. Saturn is in Pisces in the 7th house. Jupiter is in Taurus And I forgot what house Jupiter is in. So I'll tell y'all in 1 second. Neptune is in Venus in the 9th house, and Pluto is in Aquarius, right? It moved there at 0 degrees and 0 minutes, and it is now in the 6th house. Chiron is in Aries in the 8th house. The North Node is in Aries also in the 8th house, and the South Node is in Libra in the 2nd house. And then we have the Black Moon, right, is in Virgo, and that is in the 4th house. So a really cool astrologist that I love, and she comes from more of the Middle Eastern flavor of astrology, described Aquarian energy as collecting water in a vessel. And where the water represents the psychic and the emotional debris of planet Earth. The water acts as a conduct of a bearer that brings life and brings new power to cleanse what is weighing us down and making us heavy on earth. And so I thought that was really, really cool that she said that, and that was a really good perspective to look at Aquarius season. And she further went on to say, um, that it is a reminder to turn back to our truest neutral state of being so we can better listen to our truest highest self. So when the sun and the moon enter Pluto or entered Aquarius, or the sun and Pluto entered Aquarius on the same day, the earth is being cleansed and balanced. And what did you say? Chakra Kwan balance, right? And so this is especially being emphasized by the fact that the North Node and Chiron is in Aries, as we just talked about. So again, this is the time period where none of the things I've been saying over the past year are going to change. Like, you still have to go at the pace of you. That's what the season is all about. Chiron has been in Aries since 2018. It's going to be there until 2026. The North Node is going to be there till 2025. You have to go at the pace of you. You have to stay on track. Eyes on your own prize. Like, that's literally how you win right now. So following your own passions, your own desires, your own needs, and your own talents will really help you work with the North Node and Chiron being in Aries right now. It's a time of building new foundations for our future, how we interact with the world, and then also how we draw in resources. This energy is being drawn up by the fact that Uranus is also going direct during Aquarius season in Taurus, right? And so for the past 4 or 5 years, Uranus has been in Taurus, really breaking down the foundations that no longer served us and building us new foundations that we would draw, how we would draw on resources, how we would communicate with the world, how we would stabilize ourselves, how we rooted ourselves with the world was really what's been torn down and drawn anew. And this time period has really been emphasized by that, with Uranus going direct in Taurus during this time period. Jupiter is also currently in Taurus, and it's really encouraging you to lean into the fixed earth energy of Taurus right now and really sticking out to doing the work of building all these new foundations, even if they're not fun right now. Right before Jupiter, which has no boundaries and no limits, moves into the fast moving sign of Gemini, right? And so Jupiter energy is going to speed us right up. And so Jupiter energy really wants us to enjoy the steadiness of being in a earth fixed sign right now and really put our heads down and kind of do the work. And it's kind of easy right now because we don't really want to be outside. We don't really want to be active. We're really in the house. So this is really a time where we can like hyper focus on what are our things that we want to build up, or the things that we want to develop for ourselves, or calling in new foundations, or calling in new skills for ourselves, right? And we really want to take advantage of this before Gemini moves into before Jupiter moves into Gemini, because in June almost every planet and every sign we got low key except for the outer planets about to be in Gemini. And I'm a Gemini sign. I don't know about y'all, and it's in my 8th house. I'm running like during that time period. Try to catch me, because you're not. You're really not going to be able to catch me. And so Jupiter is really wanting us to enjoy this downtime right now of staying in our lane and following our own passions and really building off of that and see where our own passions, our own skill development, our own self-development, like where it takes us, right? And so the questions that we started last year that we're going to ask ourselves again: right? Because the outer planets really have not moved. If anything, they're just going direct. That we can hyper focus on this Aquarius season is where can you liberate those around you when you practice equality, freedom, and liberation of yourself first. Again, this has been recorded on the Flourish Homestead and Apothecary YouTube page, so you don't have to worry about pausing to understand what was that. Like, it's on that page. As soon as we get off live, it will be available, and you can always go back and play that back. And I'll make sure that hyperlink is in the stories, y'all. Okay. And so that was the first question. The second question is Aquarian rules over humanitarianism, but not from a place of service like Virgo or the sixth house, and also not from a place of obligation and responsibility like Capricorn in the 10th house, right? But rather it rules over authentic frequencies. So what are the ways that you could work on liberating yourself, or you could work on expressing your uniqueness or your otherness or your originality, right? Like, one of the things when I really started working with my North Node and Aquarian energy that I really started working with was the fact that, like, I process information differently than a lot of other people. I have ADHD. I got autism, sensory processing disorder. Listen, baby, we highly sensitive over here, right? And so when you know those things about yourself, it really was like, and that's fine. Like, I used to have so much built-in ableism about being what I was, but I had to realize, like, with that ableism, it was making me not like the things that I liked about myself. Like, wait a minute, you like that your mind moves at 1,000,000 miles a minute. Like, you like that you're this smart. You're like that you're this because of these things. So it means you need to change your lifestyle, not you need to change yourself. And so that was a big lesson that I learned with Aquarius energy, right? And so Aquarian energy also is forcing you again. It's that space between the God house and the accomplishment house, right? And so what are the ideas, the hopes, and the dreams that only you can call down into this world? How will you do that? And why are you the only person with this calling? You are the only person with this calling. If you're here, you need to accept that there's no other person with no other calling like you. Whoever told you differently, they lied to you, and they probably don't like you. If they told you that you're not unique, you're not original, you're not this, you're not that, right? So you have a unique calling. What is that? Have you thought about it in a while? It's okay to not know what it is, but it's just not okay to not think that you don't got it. Because, like, what is that, right? And anybody who's telling you is innately lying to you. So I just wanted to throw that out there, right? And so how I do my energy work is I ask really hard questions, and then we bounce back into the knowledge, right? Like, boop, 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 because we don't want to trigger emotions too much, right? And so how you might feel during Aquarius season, right? As a fixed air sign that rules over detachment and unbalanced energy, or neutrality and balanced energy, is you might not feel the pressure to perform or be acknowledged, but you might feel very mental based right now. Like, you might just want to be in your own world, wherever your happy, safe place is, wherever your world where you dream up new things and you manifest, you might want to be there. You might not be concerned about, like, Capricorn energy or earth-based energy of calling things into the tangible. You really don't care. Like, that's really normal when the sun is in Aquarius energy right now, right? So this is a really good time to plan. It's a really good time to dream. And you have to remember, the Waterbearer actually isn't impersonal of all. It's the emanation of water energy, which is emotional energy for this realm. So what you need to know is that this is just, again, the reminder that at a soul's level, we don't have any needs, we don't have any wants, we don't have any desires. And so that's all that Aquarian energy really represents, is emotional balance and emotional neutrality in order to call new things that only you have a calling to be able to do around. So how do we work with this energy? Well, mentally, you can think about what are the things that you always thought were special or unique or kind or one of a kind about yourself, right? The catch-22 about this is it could be things that you do like about yourself, or things you don't like about yourself, or things you're neutral on about yourself, right? So you can kind of like tinker that around in your brain, whenever you have the time. And so where in your life are you willing to go against the grain? Again, the archetype for Aquarian energy is the prodigal child, the prodigal daughter, the prodigal son. That's the person who goes against the grain, goes against their society, goes against their knowing, goes against their upbringing, right? To bring in something new that's needed to their technology. My light just got so bright, baby. Did y'all witness that? That's crazy. And so where are you willing to go against the grain? Where are you willing to liberate yourself and use yourself as a living embodiment or a living example to liberate others around you from structures, from traditions, from rules, from social norms that no longer serve you or serve your society, right? Hey, Mia, how you doing? My best friend just entered the house. And so where are you playing it safe to fit in, but you know that you're holding yourself back, right? Where are you playing it safe to fit in, but you know that you're holding yourself back, right? And where you're not practicing equity or equality in your own life, okay? And how are you a humanitarian to yourself first? Thanks for the love, y'all. How are you a humanitarian to yourself first, right? Because you have to be a humanitarian to yourself, and then to your community and to society at large. Do you believe in soul work? Do you believe in deconditioning? And do you believe that at the core of who you are, that your soul is naturally at bliss, neutral, has no needs, and is okay? Yes, you have to be a humanitarian to yourself. That's the ultimate thing. You cannot be philanthropic to anyone else if you're not philanthropic to yourself. That is a martyr, respectfully. And I've been one before, and it ain't cute. Because, martyrs either get executed or cast out from society, respectfully. So, that's the thing about being a humanitarian to yourself first, right? And what is your wildest dreams? In order to be an innovator, you gotta know, you gotta be in touch with your wildest dreams. What are your wildest dreams? What are your wildest dreams? And so what makes your thinking or your mindset or your outlook on life so unique? Think about that during this time period while the sun is in Aquarius. And also think about what are your personal placements that are in Aquarius, right? So the sun I mentioned is also in Aquarius in the 6th house. We're going to start learning more about houses this year. And so the 6th house is naturally governed by Virgo energy, right? So it governs our everyday affairs, our routines. It governs kind of like our everyday responsibilities that makes life easier, that makes life go better. So when the sun is in Aquarius in the 6th house, it's basic innovation to make everyday life easier, right? To make life more functional, creating more space in your schedule for you to explore what your own desires are. The sun is naturally in detriment. So again, fighting for its life. The sun is fighting for its life in Aquarius, right? And that's because the sun is Leo energy, or Aquarius is polar opposite, right? So the sun represents individuality, personal expression, creativity. Aquarius energy rules over the collective group, the group objective to make life work for everyone. So since the sun is associated with warmth and with passion and with expression, and Aquarius energy is kind of detached or neutral because it has to worry about the health and well-being of everyone, right? When these two kind of come together, you're hyper focused on what in your everyday life, what in your routines, how can you, Virgo energy, make your life easier, more functional to then get to a space to create, to innovate, okay? Now, what also happened was Pluto moved into Aquarius. Pluto be playing games, and Pluto been playing games with me, my emotions, the world, since it moved into Capricorn in 2008. I have personally, as a person who has 4 planets in Capricorn, been fighting for my life since 2008. And I became an adult in 2008. And I'm still fighting for my life, right? And so Pluto moved into Aquarius yesterday at 7:56 a.m. for the second time, right? And so it'll be here until September for everybody. And they, mama, daddies, uncles texting me right now. But anyway, but Pluto will be here from January 20th, yesterday, until September the 1st, 2024. That'll be moving back into Capricorn, and I'm going to go back to fighting for my life from September the 1st all the way into, what is it? I think November 19th of 2024 is when it'll move into Aquarius for the next 20 years until August 31st, 2043, right? And so we are going to learn more about Pluto because we've never talked about Pluto. Yep, 2044, 2043. The last time we will be Pluto in Aquarius will be January 19th. So again, it'll be ending Aquarius season 2044, right? And so Pluto was discovered in 1905 by us humans. It has always existed, but by us humans on Earth, right? It was discovered in 1905, but it was officially recognized in 1930. It was declassified as a planet in 2006 because it didn't fit two of the three characteristics that humans designated to classify a planet as a planet. I personally don't believe we have the authority to classify a celestial body as a planet or not. But that's just my opinion about the whole thing. So what does Pluto look like as a planet? So it has a rocky core. So we have a fiery molten core. So we have rock or metal that's been melted down by the pressure of Earth creating heat, right? They have a rocky core, and then they have a deep interior water ocean. So we don't we don't have that authority, but we be trying to act like we have the authority, but we really don't, right? Pluto also is covered by a thick layer of frozen ice. So how we are covered by a thick crust of dirt, or it's actually a thin crust of dirt for Earth, Pluto is covered by a thick crust of ice or frozen water, nitrogen gas, that makes up its surface. It also has ice water mountain, y'all, that is made of ice and traces of methane. Its atmosphere is composed of nitrogen, methane, and carbon monoxide. So we would die real fast on that thing. And it's the coldest place in our solar system. It is negative 375 degrees Fahrenheit to negative 400 Fahrenheit at its coldest that has been documented by us, or negative 226 Celsius. I am triggered. To negative 240 degrees Celsius. It is 70% rock and 30% water. Its atmosphere is about 1,000 miles above the planet, and it has 5 moons. Astrologically, or the spiritual components, why is telling me that I got a minute and 59 seconds on Instagram? Rude. Okay, but we're going to, I'm going to end this one, y'all. I'm going to come back and finish it out real quick because I want to make sure we got the herbs and everything else to work with Aquarius season. But I guess Instagram is trying to tell me something. And I hope everybody on the other platforms can just hang in there with us. So 1 second, y'all. I'm going to end this one. I'm going to post it. And then I'm going to come back live. So it'll take me about 2 minutes. Okay. Instagram. But you doing it. How they going to be so demanding? Sun, Pluto, in Aquarius. Part 1. Okay. Alrighty. And it is posting. Hey y'all, thank y'all for hanging in there with me while I am getting that all done. Okay, I'm setting up the live now. Astrotalk, Sun, Pluto, and Aquarius. Thank you. All right, y'all, and we are back. So thank y'all for working with me on that one, and thank y'all for everybody that was sticking it out. So Astrologically, right? Pluto, it takes 247 to 248 years to complete the zodiac. And because this is the reason that it takes so long, this is the reason in 2006 that a bunch of scientists declassified it as a planet and classified it as what they would call a dwarf planet, because they felt like it didn't have a magnetic pull. But that's not the case. But I'm not going to sit here and like kind of blow that horn or do whatever. They kind of speculate that Pluto is just dragged along by the gravitational pull of the other planets in our solar system. But again, that's not the case, right? But astrologically, Pluto governs the power. It governs power, death, regeneration, rebirth, transformation. It rules over waste, viruses, crime, the underworld. It rules over control. It rules over destruction. It rules over manipulation. And it rules over in your astrological chart the places where you need to dig deep to seek the absolute truth, even if it's painful, even if it's hard to place, even if it's hard to face, even if it's hard to understand, and also the places within yourself that you don't like. Pluto also represents, like Uranus, but to a violent degree, changes, upheaval, power struggles, control issues. If you've ever had problems where with obsession, and to a certain degree, yeah, I guess addictions, right? Like that will kind of be around Plutonian energy, but in general, addictions are actually ruled by Aquarian energy, right? And so Pluto in our birth chart is the portion of who we are that may sound scary, because it is the planet that rules over death, rebirth, transformation, and regeneration. But it's also the beautiful parts about who we are that once you meet the darkest parts of who you are, you see your complete truth. You understand your power. You understand your individual power, and you are empowered from the inside out. So you are not seeking empowerment from other people. You are seeking it from within, because you have faced and conquered the darkest parts of yourself that you thought were inconquerable, that you thought were the things that you could not face within yourself, right? It spends 12 to 31 years in the zodiac. So by the time it'll be done with the last 3 months, it's going to spend in Capricorn. It will have spent about 18 months or 18 years this go round in Capricorn, and it'll be in Aquarius until 2044 on and off. Once it goes back into Aquarius, November 19th of this year. Okay. And so how you work with Pluto is, baby, you surrender. I've been working with Pluto for a long time because my Pluto's in Scorpio and I have a lot of Scorpio energy in general. I'm very Plutonian in nature. So I've been working with Pluto for a very long time, and you just surrender. If you fight, Pluto's going to knock you on your butt because it governs power. So Pluto loves a good power struggle, and it will always last longer than you. Like, you will go down fighting and it'll be like, great fight. Let me tell you where you went wrong. Like, that's kind of the energy that Pluto gives. So how to work with Pluto really depends deeply on how resistant you are to the energy, right? Pluto shows up, if you want to figure out where it shows up in your chart, again, like Uranus, everybody has a Pluto placement and everybody has Plutonian energy. So Pluto shows up in your chart by where your natal Pluto is. Everyone has an eighth house. So who or what rules over your eighth house, and also what planets or celestial bodies are also in your eighth house. And wherever there is Scorpio in your chart is where Pluto works, right? And so, if you work with Pluto, it will kind of shatter any illusions that you have in your life, because it's asking you to strip away what is unnecessary. Hey, Quan, and what is superficial, right? So, that's what, if you work with Pluto, what it causes you to do that. So, it causes you to investigate every thought process, every lifestyle change, everything, right? And it also causes you to get in touch with the raw, the primal, and the very instinctual parts of who we are. So our unconscious, that id, that thing that Freud talks about, if you've ever taken an intro to psychology class, right? And so if you choose not to work with Pluto, it don't mean that Pluto won't work with you, right? So Pluto is that thing that's causing resistance anywhere in your life. If anywhere in your life you are like personally fighting for your life right now, that's Pluto and Chiron and Saturn. But definitely Pluto. Hey, but definitely Pluto, right? So anywhere where you are feeling resistance and it is painful and it's like on your neck and it's like, I got time and I will let you pass out. That's Pluto. I just want to let you know. So anywhere you feel like life is on your neck, my Pluto, yep, my Pluto's in Scorpio too, in my 12th house. So I definitely understand. That is where you are. And it's because it's the parts of you that you are suppressing, right? So the parts of you are suppressing and that you are keeping in place, Pluto will cause events and people to come into your life to manifest it out. So that place where you walked away from a conversation or a person or a situation, you're like, I don't fucking know why I spazzed like that. Pluto. That person was a mirror for something you probably have been, suppressing in yourself. So Pluto, right? Pluto also, if you work with Pluto, anyways, or how Pluto will work with you, Pluto governs the areas of psychological expressions, right? It also governs emotionally rewarding relationships, right? Because in order to have emotionally rewarding relationships, you have to really face the darkest parts of yourself and conquer it. So that's why it rules over that specific spectrum of emotionality, right? It rules over in relationship problems, separation, manipulation, jealousy, and possessive behavior. Pluto also rules over resistance to change, holding on to negative attachment, self-destructive behavior, obsessions, looking for the truth and meaning in things, beginning and intense new experiences, psychological insight, intolerance for superficiality, soul to soul connections with partners, faithful encounters, times, new relationships, or separations, discovering one's power, understanding one's burden or obligation, right? Focusing on or increase focusing on strength and commitments, death and rebirth cycles, uh, deep, intense, complex involvements, and also coming face to face with your deepest fears and overcoming them, in a new interest in psychology or parapsychology, right, is what rules over that. So when Pluto and Aquarius are working together, it rules over deep changes in the area of friendship, social structures, networking, also in our community, in our support systems, our group associations, and what humanitarianism is and represents, new expressions of individuality, scientific inventions, and progress in our own goals and happiness is generally what takes place, right? So what'll happen at societal levels over the next 20 years that Pluto is in Aquarius is great social changes around politics and government, where we will experience great reform, because of the destruction that we went through while Pluto was in Capricorn, right? We will experience control issues and power related struggles to individualities and equality within friendships and social circles. The cheat code is to be authentically yourself, and it's going to repel and attract who is meant to repel and attract, right? And so that's the cheat code, right, to these power struggles that will come along in networking and friendships, right? But it's a great time. Hey, baby, I hear a crumbling with a couple of crumblings, right? And on that note, we are going to get hydrated for when that crumbling comes. Ooh, that was so good. You said you hear a crumbling in equality and in friendship. Absolutely. Absolutely, right? And so also we can expect there to be great acceleration in progressivism. So understanding semantically and at an entomology I can't even say that word tomorrow, entomology at that level, y'all. I'm struggling. What progressivism is, not what society has made it, what American culture has made it. It is actually a political thought form and a philosophical process. So understanding what that is, right? And there'll be a lot of scientific innovations to take place over these next 20 years, right? Who or what is considered a scientific mind will change over the next 20 years. Ideas around humanitarianism will definitely change over the next 20 years, right? So overall, expect for there to be a lot of innovations in science, invention, in minds and ideas, right? But also what comes along with all of this innovations is time of great intensity and paranoia, because the world is changing so fast in a lot of ways. A lot of people have this innate fear that they can't keep up with it. And it's just not the truth. The truth is you can't keep up with it. The truth is that the world is changing faster than the resources that keep the world equitable, right? And so with this time period, there comes a lot of intensity, a lot of paranoia, a lot of jealousy, right? Especially around networks and in friend groups and in social spaces, but especially in the spaces of where we are right now, right? Like social media and your social persona. So we'll see a lot of things like that over the next 20 years. What or who will be impacted by Pluto being in Aquarius the most? It will be Aquarius and Leo placements, especially Aquarius and Leo, Sun, Moon, Risings, Mercury, Mars, and Saturn. Also, North and South Node in Aquarius or Leo, you gonna be affected during these next 20 years. Also, all fixed signs. So fixed signs is Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. The middle of the season, representative step to the table. You have been called for the next 20 years to be God's soldiers. I'm joking, but kind of not really. Like we might talk more about that. Yeah. So what was the history the last time Pluto was in Aquarius 248 years ago? So the French Revolution was going on, the American Revolution and the Haitian Revolution was taking place. The Industrial Revolution was taking place in Western Europe and in North America. So there's a lot of technological advances in science and medicine. But when Pluto come together, they just talk about hypocrisy. And what we don't ever talk about when they talk about like what made that time period, air quotes, so great, about Western democracy and these formation of these Western countries in the Industrial Revolution was that it was like built on the backs of people who were enslaved, people who were murdered by genocide, people who were misplaced from their homes or lost their sovereignty due to colonialization and imperialism. And so this has really take place and impacted melanated people, right? And the original and the indigenous peoples of the world in Africa, the Americas, Asia, Australia, Micronesia, and Polynesia. So we have to understand that this was the history that was taking place the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, right? They don't talk about the Haitian Revolution that took place to eliminate slavery, right? In Haiti and in the Dominican Republic or Dominicana, right? They don't talk about that the same way they talk about the American and the French Revolution, right? And there's a reason for that. They don't talk about the Russian Revolution that was going on at the time that gave rise to what will become known as socialism and Marxism in the same way. Hey, Ashley, in the same way, right? That they talk about how they talk about the American and the French Revolution. And they don't talk about the fact that it was melanated and indigenous bodies from Asia, from Africa, from Micronesia, from Polynesia, from North and South America who funded the Industrial Revolution. It was our resources that came off of our sovereign land. It was our manual labor. It was ours, it was ours, it was ours, right? So when some people who really don't know their history come in here and talk about beautiful things, right, that happened the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, reminding them that it came off the backs and the bodies of melanated people, and that we're telling our own stories now. Like that's the glitch in the system that wasn't present, that is present now, right? And that is why many of the things in the world looks the way that it looks right now, is because many of the balancing of what is equity and what is equality is really going to take place over these next 20 years, because this is what Pluto in Aquarius is designed to do. right? And so during this time period, we really need to look outside of ourselves while we're working on ourselves and understand that the current events that are taking place right now looks a lot like the current circumstances that took place when we just talked about when Pluto was in Aquarius 248 years ago. And remember that now we have the ability not only to do what our ancestors did when they called in the Haitian Revolution during the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, but we are now in charge of our own stories, right? We are now in charge of our own stories. The great equalizer is that y'all are watching me on social media, right? And so this is how we take advantage of that during this time period, and how we highlight oppression and we change it and we call out the injustice that's in this world. Because a lot of times we just have to highlight our own lives. I created this apothecary to be a testament to my own life, been like a literal freedom fighter my whole entire life, and also calling in what joy and hope and radicalness looks like, and been able to slow down and to be able to say, but I live in nuance, and today I'm choosing joy. I'm choosing to engage with my community from a place that we are already liberated, right? And so that is what Pluto in Aquarius is like. So again, we've already went through Pluto in Aquarius from March to June of last year. So think back last year about where you were and when Pluto entered Aquarius. Yeah, literally nothing new under the sun, just more opportunities to create a better outcome. Quite literally, right? And to know that I won't say everything is not linear, but it's definitely cylindrical, right? So we can learn the lessons, and we have time to learn the lessons, and that's why I said the things that I said, right? Is because now we have that ability to be the voices that we needed to hear all them years ago, right? And that's why I think it's important that us as melanated people, as Black people, document our lives and document our story, because I think this is as much a part of what we're doing in the first place, right? And so again, when Pluto went into Aquarius last year from March to June, think about, who were the power players or the actors who were in your life or taking up a lot of space. They may come back or they may not. Or you can think about the lessons or the themes that were apparent and what were taking place in your life during that time period, right? And the assignment is just to look at your natal chart. With Pluto in Aquarius, we got 20 years to get to know it, right? So look at your natal chart to see where Pluto is as far as your zodiac and your houses. Also see where Aquarius is, because Aquarius energy will be very impacted. So for example, Aquarius energy is in my north node in my fourth house, right? So that is where I will be impacted over the 20 years that Pluto is in Aquarius. So you can look at that. You can also figure out where Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, or Scorpio energy, fixed energy, will be in your chart. And in order to understand this, you need to know what your planet and house rulership is. That changes depending on if you're Platicus, tropical, Vedic, if you into African cosmology, whatever you doing, just understand that you need to know your house rulership and the planets when figuring out where Pluto or Scorpio energy is in your chart. Okay. Again, Pluto is currently in the sixth house. So what is in your sixth house will also help you understand the flavorings or the toppings on top of this energy. Hey, Allison, how are you? Right? And to a lesser degree, if you really, really, really about that astrology life, you can kind of understand what's going on in your second house, your fifth house, your eighth house, or your 11th house, which Aquarius rules, to really understand everything that's going to be happening over these 20 years. We going to get there, though. I'm going to teach y'all how to be that obsessed with astrology if y'all want to be. Hi, got your info from a friend. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming and spending time with us today, right? Okay, so Aquarian energy for the herbalists, the root workers, the conjurers, and for people who practice the ATRs, the African traditional religion. The birth colors. So I have a friend who was really wanting a Pluto and Aquarius baby. They're getting a Pluto and Aquarius baby and a Pluto sun baby, right? So that baby's birth colors will be electric blue, gray, or ultramarine blue, right? So during transporting different things like that is really, really, really important for the herbalist, root worker, conjurers, doulas, earth workers, energy workers, whomever, whatever you call yourself, shamans. That if you have the capability to dress a newborn baby in those colors, right? If they come home during that time. So that's really, really important because their aura is not done being formed. So that's important. Other colors you can work with, and these are also colors you can place on your altar. These are colors that you can wear or loved ones can wear. Is aqua blue, navy blue, fluorescent green. If you are a person who is a spiritualist or you practice numerology, or you understand God's spirit source creator through math, the lucky numbers that are associated with Aquarian energy is 4, 8, 13, 17, 22, 26, 31, and 35, y'all. Okay? The best day to work with Aquarian energy is Saturday because Saturn is the ancient ruler of Aquarius. So that's the best way to do that. The best foods to eat during Aquarius season are ones that help boost your circulatory system and keep your blood sugar in check. So that is walnuts, ocean fish, pears, lemons, oranges, apples, oyster, radishes, corn, peaches, lobster, lettuce, tuna, grapefruits. And I can't read that one. Oh, that's clams. Yeah, I can't read my own writing. I'll be up here. Can't read my own writing. Okay. So if you pay attention, I also posted the food on the Instagram Apothecary. I don't know why I don't get over to the Facebook, so I'm working on figuring out why some of the posts never make it over there. If you notice, a lot of the foods that are in season and are ripe right now, a lot of the produce are the things that I just named. So grapefruits are really lemons, apples, oranges, pears, radishes, corn, and peaches. Kiwis are really good right now, right? The things that you want to avoid right now because of Aquarius season is sweets and carbonated beverages, right? And if you wanted to consume a lot of something that represents Aquarian energy, it's nuts, seeds, fruits, and veggies. Make sure you avoid caffeine during this time period if you can, and replace it with herbal tea, okay? The gemstones that you can work with during this time period, the primary one is angelite, right? So you can Google what angelite means. Again, this is being filmed on our YouTube, so Flourish Homestead and Apothecary YouTube. So you can pause this at any time to figure out all the things that I'm saying. So there's no pressure, no issue, right? And this is angelite. You can also work with clear quartz. I don't have straight up clear quartz, but I have like gold covered clear quartz and gold infused clear quartz, right? So those are some of the things you can work with. Lapis lazuli, amber, and garnet is some of the stones that you can work with. If you do tarot, some of the things that represent Aquarian energy. So if you pull these during this time, sort of pay attention. So the star, the fool, 5 of swords, 6 of swords, 7 of swords, and Knight of swords. Please pay attention. You can look up the associated decans. But if you pull the 5 of swords from yesterday up until the 29th, right, that will be significant, right? If you pull the 6 of swords from the 30th of January to the 8th of February, that will be significant. If you pull the 7 of swords from the 9th of February to the 18th of February, that would be significant. If you pull a Knight of swords or the star in tarot, right, that would be significant at any time throughout Aquarius season, right? So the energy, and we're about to explain to you the energy and why, you really can't have junk foods or caffeine or carbonated beverages during this time. It's because it's really easy to catch a cold, and it's really easy for the cold to stick to you due to the natural tissue state condition, right? And so the tissue state condition right now, if you study like homeopathic medicine, Chinese medicine, or different types of indigenous medicine right now, when it's cold, dry, fixed energy, is tense and constricting. So this can lead to a lot of circulatory, respiratory, and nervous system issues because our body is working harder to keep us warm or to keep us at baseline, right? or homeostasis. So this causes us to naturally be a little bit more dehydrated. So if you abuse your body during this time period and a cold sets in or bacteria sets in, it can really be easy to take advantage of you because your immune state is already a little bit compromised, because this is typically the hardest part of winter. Right. So it's really important for you to think about that. And that's why it's typically advised to stay away during this time of year from like caffeine, processed foods, and like carbonated drinks, because they'll dehydrate you even more. Right. And so Aquarian energy rules over the following body systems. That is the lower legs, the calves, the ankles, the shin bones, tibias, the fibulas, the tendons or the Achilles tendon, the teeth, the electrical impulses of the nerves, your circulatory system, and the elimination system of the circulatory system, which are the kidneys, right? And it also impacts the cones and the rods within the retina, and the oxygenation of your cells, right? So those are the things that Aquarius energy governs in your body. So if you're a somatics healer, or if you do somatics energy practices, or if you go see a somatics healer during Aquarius season, you can either have them hyper focus on that if you don't have any targeted needs, but you're trying to keep up with just staying on a routine or staying on a body care routine. But also you can, if you do your own body work, your own body care, you can focus on those areas during this time period, right? By working with the corresponding herbs, the colors, doing mindful prayers, doing mindful intentions, making sure you schedule doctor's appointments and different things in those corresponding areas. So I often use different zodiac seasons as a time to check in with that part of my body, or make those different doctor's appointments that I need to make, or if I have any holistic needs, or to check in with the Chinese medicine doctor, or do this, or go do qigong, or go get this massage. So I use these time periods to kind of help me out with that by what it naturally rules over and what it corresponds with. Okay. And so every zodiac sign rules over diseases. And the diseases or the disorders can be a gamut of things, and they are random because they're based on the degree system of astrology, right? And so we're going to learn about, when imbalanced, what are some of the diseases or disorders that Aquarius energy rules over. So if you have these disorders or you have these diseases, is typically an imbalance. And again, I am not a doctor. I am a holistic energy worker and healer, but from a holistic energy working perspective, all of this emanates from somewhere, right? And so this could be varicose veins, hemorrhoids, blood poisoning, and different disorders that are caused by the nervous system or nervous system sensitivity, such as hyper processing or sensory disorders, right? So I have a sensory processing disorder that's associated with my ADHD or my neurodivergence, right? Aquarian energy and imbalance is also rules over schizophrenia. It rules over adrenal issues, accidents of the ankles and the lower legs, restless leg syndrome, water retention in the legs and ankles, a crawling sensation or fibromyalgia in the skin, stagnant or poisoned blood, electrical irregularities of the heart, gas in the bowel, cold sweats from an overactive nervous system, vision disorders, including color blindness, peripheral and central vision disorders, and injury to the retina. Disorders of coordination and general coordination, tics, facial tics, and involuntary spasms of the limbs, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson, alcoholism, rheumatism, rheumatic fever, Gorder disorder, and poisoning in the esophagus. Hold on, y'all. I can't even read my. Oh, I'm sorry. Poisoning, especially from venomous snakes. Child, baby, I can't read my own writing. It be getting bad. Okay. Some of the psychological disorders that are associated, or mental imbalances that are associated with Aquarius season might be, or mindset issues, is being disorganized, being undisciplined, being a rebel without a cause, being a distant individual with matters of the heart, right? Being overly eccentric or antisocial, coming off as a radical but often deeply conservative. And using visionary powers, but for the ill of society, not for the better of society. Having a fixation or obsession on something, and avoiding being present in order for pursuit of the future or because you're embarrassed by your emotions, right? From a holistic perspective, some of the remedies that people can do when they figure out they have an imbalance in Aquarian energy is calming or centering activities like meditation, like prayer, like sitting in the dark, like light therapy, like aromatherapy to bring you back present. And also in drinking teas. There's a reason why herbalists always got a good tea going, right? And it's because those relaxing nervines with herbs such as kava or lavender or chamomile are really good for soothing the nervous system when a person is overstimulated, which is Aquarian energy, right? I mean, you can do blood tonics for in improving circulation, right? So bone broths are really good right now and are really good for circulation, warm things in general. Adding things like turmeric and ginger, which are really opening to the kidneys and thus opening to the circulatory system and the respiratory system, is really good right now. So those are good things that you can really do to help improve circulation and oxygenation, right, to your cells, to really helping it up. If you're suffering from more emotional issues, where you just feel like you just have a hard time connecting with others, one of the things you can do is do an altruistic act, but make sure that altruistic act comes from a place of reciprocity. So reciprocity is where you're in a situation where you are giving and you are receiving, right? So it's investing in the individual and then being patient, because a lot of people with a lot of Aquarian energy or imbalance in Aquarian energy are often visionaries, and they're not patient. Other people don't see the vision yet, and it's because like you're very far ahead. So you need to give people grace and time to kind of see this future. So I always call it holding space and holding grace, or giving grace to people, right? And one of the things with imbalances in Aquarian energy, I always challenge people is to be experimental, but figure out how to be experimental or to push the boundaries in places in your life that still allow you to be kind and still allow you to be a steward for humanity, right? So not violating people's boundaries, and not doing things like that, right? And so you can use that and use the feelings that you have around your erratic and your challenging behavior to really push forward innovation or experimenting. Right. One of the things when people have an imbalance in Aquarian energy, that I always challenge them to do is embrace the power of emotional maturity, which is realizing that you actually do have emotions. You don't need to like deny your emotions, and you don't need to disassociate from your emotions that will cause like emotional detachment. So it's really giving into your emotions, learning how to give yourself space as a human that you have emotions, and then easing that into your relationships and learning what reciprocity is, because a lot of Aquarians in their own ways are very big givers, right? And so some of the gifts of Aquarian, or some of the words or ideas that you can work with when you're trying to work with Aquarian energy, you can work with or think about philosophically, what idealism or revolution or inventiveness, originality, unorthodoxy, vision, eccentricity, philanthropy, and universalness mean to you. Also, intuition, right? Some of the rituals of Aquarius is you can call in change, great social change for you and the people around you. Being prepared for the unexpected, being able to inspire, right, or being able to innovate, right, and having that inspiring innovation take place like in a really public place, for example like a poetry reading, and then making it open to the public. That would be very Aquarian to do right now, right? The guardian herbs. So guardian herbs is when you have a balance, a good balance of Aquarian energy. You use these herbs to protect that Aquarian energy. So that would be lavender, kava, peppermint, cacao, myrrh, comfrey, witch hazel, water violet, jasmine, or rosemary. Then you have your remedy herbs. So remedy herbs you use when there's an imbalance in Aquarian energy. So that would be catnip, burdock, linden, milky oat, also lavender again, Bavarian, passion flower, skullcap, dandelion, fennel, motherwort, nettle, lemon balm, willow, witch hazel again. If you wanted to, you can place those herbs also on your altars, but also flowers. I love flowers on my altars more than herbs. So with all this Aquarian energy this week, we got vines, we got lindens. Also put lemons on my altar during this time period. And liver verbena. I put some yarrow on there, and some orchids. Orchids are really, really good because they represent Aquarian energy and ironically Pluto energy too. And that is all I have for everyone. If you wanted to work with a chakra right now, the chakra to work with for Aquarius season is definitely, some say the crown, but most say the root, right? So work with the root, definitely. I think that's the best chakra to work with if you're going to work with it. But a lot of people do say the crown because it represents the 11th house, so the space between what you call down in the 10th house and the house of God, so the 12th house. So thank y'all so much for doing this, and I'm so glad that we're back after I took that really long 4 months off. So I hope with this information you really get to work with Aquarian energy. We will be back for the Leo full moon, so we will be making this thing regular again. And there's some upcoming astrological placements. Oh, thank you. And there's some upcoming astrological placements that I might talk about in stories, depending on how busy I am this week. I'm like a multi-business owner, y'all, so work with me. I'm trying to get marketing down, but it's rough. Like, I'm not a marketer by nature. Like, I'm a producer, and I'll be like, get somebody else to talk about it. I'm that somebody else when I'm the entrepreneur. It's me. So now that I've gotten that mindset shift, we are back in business. I'm feeling rejuvenated. Okay, what are some of the things I naturally feel like I'm called in and working with lately before I get off of here? Because sometimes I be going at the speed of my own vibe. So I've been really feeling very into lang lang lately. Orange and patchouli. I've been really into shungite lately. I've been really into copper lately. Carnelian. I've been really into carnelian lately. Like, I've been really into bloodstone lately. I have no idea why. But those are the things I've personally been into. Of course, still staying on my regimen of putting peppermint and spearmint in my water. Been obsessed with like calendula lately. So a friend, Hood Honey, inspired me to start working with calendula again. So I've been working with that a lot lately. What have I been working with, y'all? A lot. Blue lotus. And I've been working with a lot of aerobotic herbs. So a lot of ashwagandha, let's see, a lot of amla, a lot of turmeric. So, and what foods have been inspiring me lately? Well, we went through the holiday season. I'm gonna get down with the good Southern Black food. That's just how it is for my family. Even though I can't eat it because I can't process it no more, I did get down with that. But before my little cousin left, I made what I call hood pozole. So I used to live in California, and I used to help run an after school program, and the kids would be hungry in one of the places. So I would make hood pozole. So I went and got 2 Cornish hens, and I had a bunch of leftover produce. So limes, lemons, ginger, some turmeric, some cilantro, some tarragon, some rosemary, some Cornish hens. And I had some jalapeno paste that I had like ground down in my pestle like this, right? And so I made her some hood pozole when she went back, and her friends felt real good. And I just been really into body tapping, somatics lately, and really just into a bunch of psychology. That's what's been calling my name kind of lately. So yeah, I hope that kind of helps with guiding us through whatever we are going through in this world. But I'm so happy that our Astro Talks are back going. I'm about to set down all of this stuff that I have randomly and very awkwardly in my hand. But again, We now have a YouTube channel, so you don't have to like I was so annoying, and I'm so sorry, y'all, for everybody who had to listen to it live, who catch something and couldn't rewind or do everything back. So we have a YouTube channel now where you can just pause, write stuff down, take a note, come back, or whatever else, and you don't have to worry about when the live takes place. After this goes down, it will be in the stories at the very least by tomorrow. I forgot to tell us about some herbs for Pluto, but I did say enough. If you want to work with an herb to honor Pluto, Damiana, because you probably need it right now, because that 29th degree of Pluto being in Capricorn wasn't playing with nobody. So yeah, those are the things that I've kind of been working with right now. And I will see y'all for the Leo full moon that's happening in a couple days, y'all. So see y'all later. Bye. So into that, and then y'all gonna hang out with me right quick while I put this up, because if I don't put it up, Instagram be making you lose like your whole stuff, and then I'll have to download it from y'all, upload it here. It just be too much work. So I'm about to just adding the caption and uploading. So I'm sorry I had that. Y'all done seen so much today. My bad, y'all. Really behind the scenes. But again, I'm listening to 639 hertz, and it says Tibetan monks praying. And I love this. I thought this was a good nod because my father, who passed away last year, he had dementia. This was how he would we would wake him up and have him go to sleep with this. And so this was a sound that woke me up this morning, and I was just like, I can't wait. So this is a little nod to my dad, who's also an Aquarius. His birthday is the 23rd. Okay. Well, I finally got that posted. Thank y'all so much. And bye, y'all. Thank y'all for spending time with me. See y'all for the new moon or full moon.